and welcome to the Oileánach Knits podcast. My name is Heather, my pronouns are they, them, and I'm coming to you from St. John's, Newfoundland, Katamakuk for it's the traditional name of the Mi'kmaq people, and it's also the traditional homelands of the bibliothèque people. I'm a knitter, knitwear designer, writer, general multidisciplinary artist person. Yeah, it's a beautiful fall day here, and sorry, I'm staring out the window. Yeah, we've been having this really gorgeous sunny weather, which is truly bizarre for us. So that's been really nice. I've been trying to get outside more and go for little walks and hikes. I don't have a ton of time as I'm in school this term, but it's been really nice. And the footage you would have seen in the intro video, I just kind of took you along for a little walk yesterday. One of my favorite trails, which is out. It's kind of not very typical of Newfoundland. We are a much more forested place, but that particular trail goes through some old farmlands, and so it's lots of like pastures and big open meadows. I stumbled upon an apple tree, which was really fun. I've never noticed that one before, even though I hike that trail all the time. Yeah, so I just kind of wanted to show you a little bit of this island, I suppose. We're kind of getting, like the video footage you would have seen is probably our peak fall. We don't get, we don't get like particularly bright foliage, mostly because we're primarily kind of an evergreen forested place, but it is still quite nice when we do get that little tint of color, and then we'll have like a big windstorm and all the leaves will fall immediately and that'll be it. But that's okay. Yeah, things have been really busy lately with school, and I'm actually supposed to be writing paper right now, but I needed a little break and I just wanted to think about knitting for a little minute, and it's gonna be fine. So I'm currently wearing my Foraois sweater. It's actually a bit too warm to be wearing this yet. It's a bulky weight sweater with the Foraois, which is, the word is Irish for forest, motif, and little lapa, I think that's what they're called, and it has a really thick double collar, and it is a cropped length, so it sits just about my waist, and it's really cozy. We'll see if I get too warm. There might be a outfit change at some point during this. But today I particularly wanted to podcast because it is the release day for the bibliothèque scarf, which is a lovely tiny scarf in herringbone stitch that is knit with one strand of silk mohair and one strand of fingering weight. And so I've knit up 3 at this point, and it's really fun to play with and like see how you want to wear it. So like I like to wear it like this a lot, just kind of in the way that I would wear like a silk scarf in the summer. But I also am a fan, I'm not very good at this sort of like styling thing, so we'll see how this goes. I've also been a fan of wearing it, okay, kind of like a tie, but not, it doesn't look like a tie when you do it. So I kind of tie it over the back like this, and then just kind of flop it through instead of putting it through the tie loop. And it kind of just makes a little, nice little bandana kind of thing. I don't know, I think it's really fun. This is definitely the fanciest knit I've ever designed. Yeah, I feel like I have kind of a dual personality when it comes to the sorts of things I wear. Sometimes I feel like when school started up again, I was wearing a lot of like loafers and skirts and sweaters and things like that. And this very much fits in with that vibe. But then as I've been hiking more this week, I'm back into all my rustic sweaters and jeans and boots kind of thing. But anyway, I realized that I hadn't really knit anything on the fancier side. This might be the slight exception, but it's not that fancy. Anyway, I've just been really enjoying these. And so I've knit 3 already. Got this nice, this was actually the most recent one I knit. I only just finished blocking it. This was the second. And I love this one. This is the softest one. This is knit with Biches, buches, petit mohair and Knitting for Olive mohair. And this one was Tukuwool fingering weight, which is my favorite yarn, and the lichen and lace mohair. And the lichen and lace mohair is kind of fun because like it comes in gorgeous colors. I love their colors. And it comes in like a 500 meter skein, which is wild. That's so much mohair. So yeah, I barely touched it with this. This one feels the softest. Flopsy. Yeah, I love this one, but then I kind of realized as I started trying to wear it that it's the same color as all my clothes, so it's not quite as fun. So that's why I knit the red one after. And then this was the first one I knit, so it's not quite as long because I hadn't quite figured that part out yet. But it also has, the pattern features optional short rows to make it, you can sort of see it's just a little bit bowed on the bottom while the top is straight across. And this is just in case you want to like wrap it so that you've got a thicker neck piece and then tie it. So yeah, this one's not quite as long, but the pattern, this is less long than the pattern is. Yeah, so then you can kind of tuck the end here into your sweater and have a little extra warmth. So that's the bibliothèque scarf. It was really fun to knit. It knits up really quickly and you use very little yarn. So I've actually been meaning to knit one with a ball of Shetland, so Jameson and Smith or Jameson's, so that I can see if you can get a scarf out of just one ball, because that would be really cool. And I've got some really fun colors of Shetland. So that would be fun. And this is fun, and I'm really excited about it. And I feel like it's already doing better than any of my patterns ever have, and it's only been out for a couple of hours. Yeah. And this leads me on. So yeah, this is available on Ravelry. And that's it, because I don't know. I feel like that's sufficient, but if you don't use Ravelry and you'd like to get a copy of this pattern, you can just email me or something. Or if there's like a different platform that people use, I've noticed that some designers put their designs on various other platforms. And I definitely feel like keeping things somewhat minimal for myself in terms of the amount of places I have to post things. But if there are particular places you'd rather purchase your patterns from, just let me know. I used to have them available on my website as well, but nobody ever bought them, so it just seemed like an unnecessary use of a website. And it was quite expensive to upkeep. Just drinking tea. Okay. The next thing that came off my needles recently is something I'm very, very excited about. And this is the library shawl. I finally finished it. This took me months. And you'll see why. It's absolutely massive. So like, here it is kind of rolled up. You can see how much fabric there is. It is, the wingspan is outrageous. I don't know how I'm gonna show it, honestly. So here it is as a half. It's very long. And so it's knit back and forth in the herringbone, and you're decreasing on the edges. Oh, that doesn't actually look bad. I was thinking that maybe the decreases should be steeper, but now that I'm looking at it from this angle, I think it looks quite nice. And I like the kind of curved effect of it. And then there's some short row shaping down on the bottom to give it a nice little center. I forgot to weave my end in. Oops. I've already blocked this. Oh well. I don't really mind. Yeah. So it's huge. It's so huge. And here's a close-up of the fabric. It is knit in the herringbone. Sorry, I keep like leaning over and touching the thing. My screen keeps going dark. Yeah, so it's knit in herringbone stitch back and forth on size 7 needles, so the herringbone isn't too tight, with 1 strand of Lettlopi and 1 strand of silk mohair. And it's so soft. It's like, I can't wait to like snuggle up with this all winter long. It's just dry. Like I've just taken it off the blocking mat, so like this is my first real hug with it since it was blocked. Yeah, I can't wait. I'm so thrilled with this one. So I love how like versatile it's gonna be in terms of like wrapping up in it. Oh yeah, this is the amount of cozy I've always wanted in my life. Look at this. Oh, and it's so squishy. I'm thrilled. I'm so thrilled. I don't think I've ever been so happy with a finished product in my life. I'm so overheated right now. Yeah, and then, so the reason I designed it the way I did, this long and with like the back short rows, is so that I can wear it properly like a shawl in the library as I study and be my A+ model student. And it can keep all of me nice and cozy and warm. And it's gonna be so great for that. I'm so thrilled. Yeah, so I've only just finished and blocked it, and I really just, oh my gosh, I just whipped so much dust around when I threw it around. Oh, I'm gonna sneeze so much. Ooh, okay, pardon me. Yes, so with this, I feel like I'm considering some alterations. The biggest alteration actually that I was considering was changing kind of the angle that this decreases at. And now I'm not so sure because it looks fine to me from here. So I'm not totally sure. I think I'd like to spend a little time with it before I make my final decisions and write up the pattern. Plus, I have to write some papers. So it's going to be a little bit of time before I finish this off and get it into testing. but I will be posting on my Instagram when it's time to call for testers, and hopefully some of you might like to test it. It's tons of fun. I'm a big fan. I think I used about, I started with 1/2 plate of Lettlopi and then used 1 full one and about half of another. So I think I probably used 2, or was it 3? Oh, I'm always bad at remembering these sorts of details. So 2 to 3 plates of Lettlopi, I can't quite remember. I used, I think, oatmeal, and then I broke into the 3rd ball of silk mohair, and I used linen from Knitting for Olive. So those are my 2 finished objects for today, and they're both like big true thrills. Oh no, oh no. So I've got lots of works in progress as well, and some of them are design works in progress and some of them are for fun works in progress, which has been kind of a thrill. Particularly, ugh, so much mohair in my mouth. Yeah, it's been particularly thrilling during this time of schoolwork to knit some patterns that other people designed. And I've always found it hard to balance kind of designing my own stuff with getting to knit all the patterns that I really like from other designers and want to knit, because I kind of, like, I suppose you can kind of tend to feel this obligation to keep putting patterns out and to stay relevant and all that kind of stuff. And it's silly, but, and it's not just that. I feel like, oh, I just had the most deja vu. Did I say all of this in another episode? Maybe, but yeah, no, I feel like it's not just that. It's not just pressure or whatever, but it's also that, you know, once I come up with a design idea, I'm really excited about it and I want to cast it on, and then I want to finish it and all of that. So it's not really a negative thing. It's just that I don't make a lot of time for knitting the patterns that I would really like to, and so I've been doing lots of that this semester, because sometimes, like, after like using my brain really hard all day, I just want to use it a little less when I'm knitting, you know what I mean? I want to, like, not have to be thinking about, you know, how certain things look and how the plan is kind of working out. I want to be able to kind of just follow the instructions and trust that it's going to work. Yeah, so I've been doing a little bit more of that. Quite a few works in progress here. I just recently cast on, I'm just realizing that I should have spoken about the ones that are the works in progress that I'm designing first, but whatever. Who needs that much linearness? So I've really just only cast this on and done the collar. So this is my first no frills sweater from Petite, and this is my first time knitting one of her patterns, which is crazy, but it's because I started knitting with color work really hard, and B, I guess just don't make enough time for other people's patterns. And I actually really like the effect of like these 2 colors together. I wasn't sure at first, so I've had this, I think it's the dark green gray, maybe, Le Petit lambswool from Biches. I've had this for a while now, and I've been trying to find the right mohair to go with it, because it's a light fingering, so I don't have that kind of patience to knit a whole sweater in a light fingering. So I wanted to pair it with a mohair, but I had a really hard time matching this color. And it's not necessarily that it's a hard color to match, it's that there's no mohair in Newfoundland. Yeah, the one like half decent local yarn shop to me closed down in the summer, but they mostly carried like indie dyed superwash sock yarns kind of thing, and that's really not my jam. And then there's another shop in town that has, I think they only carry like Briggs and Little and what's that one that everyone hates? Drops. They only have Drops and Briggs and Little, that's it. And I've tried to love Briggs and Little, as I spoke about in my last episode. It's not working though. Anyway, so I had no capacity to go into a yarn shop and look at colors of mohair. And so I don't have it with me here, but I originally ordered a color from Gepard, one of their kid silk mohair, and it was like this bright emerald green, like it was nothing like this, and so that was a no-go. And then I tried again with this Knitting for Olive, and it's like a grassy kind of green, and it's got kind of a bluish tint, where this is a very warm green. And so I got it and looked at them and I was like, that looks terrible, that's never gonna work. But I am actually quite fond of it. I think it's coming out quite nicely. It's making this really nice kind of like spruce evergreen kind of green. So it worked out in the end, but it's like, and once I got this one, I was like, I can't afford to like buy a third sweater quantity of mohair just because it doesn't look great. But yeah, the troubles of living on an island with no yarn shop. These sorts of things happen. Anyway, I'm not very far in this, but I love the color, I love how it feels, and I think I've been feeling lately like I've been much more interested in sort of the petite knit sweaters. I feel like I've knit so many colorwork sweaters now, and I love colorwork sweaters. That's my real joy. But in the day-to-day, like prior to my beginning knitting, the sweaters that I had in my closet were all kind of like basically the no-frill sweater in a couple different colors and like one ribbed one, you know, like a kind of like I'd really reach for a plain like one color soft crew neck sweater. So I thought it was time to knit one of my own. So I'm excited. And on the subject of petite knit, I also have been wanting to knit a sweater vest. I think I had started one in my last episode. So this is the Stockholm vest? I think so. And I had started it in the Briggs and Little as a test, and I was not loving it, obviously. And so I decided to try blocking. I blocked like a corner of it, like held it down in the blocking water to see if it would soften up at all, and it was nothing. It just felt like rope. So I gave up on it. I took it off the needles. I haven't ripped it out yet because I have been thinking that maybe I should make it anyway and then use it as like a purely outdoor, like going in the woods, gonna get brambles and stuff all over it. So I might do that. I just don't really want to like do the knitting part of it. Anyway, so I started again in the recommended like a mohair and a fingering yarn. And I'm using, once again, Knitting for Olive, because that's, I don't know, just kind of the easy one to get and trust for me ordering things online in pearl gray, and my beloved Tukuwool fingering in Humu, which is number 2. So I love these wools and I love them together, and I'm excited to have this little sweater vest. And this is like, I don't know, it's just a really easy, like I don't have to think very much while working on this because this construction's pretty basic. So that's been fun. So I recently cast on and like have half finished the Whimsy Babe boot socks by Fizzard, and her Instagram name is Stitch Craft Co. I don't know what her Ravelry name is, but these are so fun. They're not released yet. I'm sort of like pre-test knitting them. And I had never done a heel flapping gusset before, and her instructions made it so easy. And like they're so soft. Like I don't know why I never thought to knit with Lettlopi. I don't know why I've never thought to knit socks with Lettlopi before. But they're so cozy and I'm really excited about them. They have like really sweet little colorwork details. Yeah, I'm very excited. I've only just started these. She sent me the pattern a little while ago and I was at home. I'm house sitting right now, so most of my stuff is at the place I'm house sitting. This is my house. I'm in my house right now because all of my other knitting stuff is here. So I didn't have any of the projects I was working on when I was home to like do some stuff. So I just kind of picked up the Lettlopi because I've got some of that here and started in, and I'm really excited about them. I think I'm like I definitely don't feel super comfortable with the heel flapping gusset yet, but it was so much less scary than I was anticipating. So that's really nice. I actually have quite a stash of Lettlopi that I've been trying to think of like interesting new ways to play with. I mostly bought it a few years ago, at some point in the pandemic. It was really difficult to get Lettlopi, and it was kind of one of the main yarns that I had started knitting with, and so it felt like really crucial to me to be knitting with Lettlopi. And I found a store online, and it's also like, it's a lot more expensive in North America, particularly given that like I usually have to pay shipping, and it's usually quite a substantial amount, unless like a lot of stores have like a cap, like if you spend $300 you get free shipping or something, but that's a lot. And I try to knit with like really affordable yarns, so that's like really a lot. I know if like you're using really specialty kind of like luxurious yarns, you could probably fill up $300 pretty quickly, but that's a lot to me. Yeah, so I'm usually paying shipping, and then, you know, balls of Lettlopi are like $8 or $9 most shops. But it was around that time that I realized I could be just ordering direct from Iceland, and I was paying the same amount of shipping as if I was like ordering from a store in Canada, and the cost of the yarn was significantly less. And even like, you know, in terms of getting yarn shipped to me, Iceland is closer to me than most of Canada. So like it has to travel. Oh, maybe that's not a thing. If it was traveling direct from Iceland, it would have to travel significantly less, but I have a feeling it probably goes to Europe after Iceland and then over to Canada. Well, there goes that thought. But anyway, I realized that by ordering it from Iceland, I had access to more different like colors that were sold out elsewhere, and it was a lot cheaper for me. So I kind of made like a big bulk order of Lettlopi that I'm still working through. And I don't really love the concept of stashes or like acquisitions and like that kind of side of the knitting world. And particularly like as a writer, I think really critically about word choice, and a word like acquisition puts the emphasis on acquiring, like the verb, as opposed to the item that's being acquired. And I think language and words really shape how we think about and understand culture and the world. And when you're focusing on acquiring yarn as opposed to the yarn itself, or the garment that's going to be made from the yarn, or the knitting process that's going to go into the yarn, I think something's lost there. And consumption kind of is the focus, as opposed to craft and sustainability. And I think that's a really important distinction. And so, and like building a big stash is kind of just goes hand in hand with that. But then, you know, sometimes you're like me and you live on a little island and you have to think about how to make the cost of shipping worth it. So, I don't know, just my thoughts for today. Okay. So now, I guess, is that really all my whips? I feel like I just feel so scattered these days, and like my attention is being pulled into so many different projects that I really thought there were more than that. I'm probably forgetting some, but that's fine. I'll just show you next time. But back over to design whips. I showed you these mittens on the first podcast, and lots of really lovely folks said they would love to see this as a pattern, so I've been working on that, though I did get very distracted by my shawls and scarves. But these are coming along. So, oh, I've taken the needle out of these. I must have needed it for something else. These are knit with Lettlopi again. It's a really great yarn. Like if you're gonna have a stash or like a little bit of extra for making kind of spontaneous projects, I feel like it's a really good one because it's so versatile. Anyway, I love my Lettlopi. So these were the mittens that I made last year. And they were a little bit rushed because, as I said in the first episode, I really just needed a pair of mittens ASAP kind of thing, because I had lost one of my old ones. So I didn't do an amazing job. Like, I feel like they just don't fit perfectly. Like the heel of my hand is still going down around here, and the ribbing's already started and stuff, and the ribbing is a bit shorter than it could be, stuff like that. Yes, I messed up the color work over there. Oops. But they're pretty much there. So as I've been doing this pair, I've been adding some new details, starting with a longer hand and a long ribbing, so you can wear it. You can wear it as a long ribbed cuff that you can kind of tuck into your jacket if you want, or you can fold it up, or you could just knit a shorter one if you want. So that's kind of fun. I'm just about to move into the color work, so hopefully these will be, I hope before Christmas I'll be able to kind of get these out. I think they would make a nice little gift knit if you're a gifter. I'm actually not much of a gifter myself. I have an enormous family, and we decided years ago now that we were done with gifting. We're all adults now, but I have 3 little nieces, so I will have to come up with something to make them. I always try to knit them things, and they always say it's too itchy, so I don't really know. I don't really want to get into the whole kids knitting scene because I feel like it's just too much, you know? I'm not really a kid person, so I don't think I would find much joy in that. Maybe I'll make them some little bibliothèque scarves. Maybe they'd find that cute. And then the last thing I wanted to show, I think the last thing, this is just sort of an update on a sweater that I've been working on for quite a while. I can't remember at what point I would have shown it to you, but I definitely have so far. And this is a caribou cardigan that I am especially fond of. So I got this far. Nope, I'm already dropping stitches. And I did the color work yoke, which I'm really fond of. I think it's like, it's just kind of the epitome of like a little cabin rustic cardigan situation, and I love it. But I have a tendency when I'm knitting on a design project and something goes awry or something doesn't turn out the way I expected it to, I have to just like put it down and step away for like a week and go work on something else. In this case it's like a month, but I don't know what went wrong. Like I've knit so many like color work yokes and I've never had this happen before where the gauge in the color work is way off. Like it's, I don't know, you can probably even see it from there. It's totally normal in the body and the sleeves, and then as soon as I start working in the color work, I guess maybe because there's such long floats, that is a thing with this sweater. But the gauge just loosens way up, and so once I finished it, I put the needles on my cord cable, knitting barber cable, and tried it on, and it was so loose up top because of that. And it took me a really long time to get through this color work, so I'm not especially looking forward to ripping it all out and having to do it again. So I just haven't, but it's starting to get cooler here, and I know that this is gonna make an awesome like sort of jacket for hikes and things this fall, so I really want to get back to it. But I don't want to do it again. But look how sweet it is. I honestly can't wait to wear this. So I guess I'll have to just do it. Maybe I'll take this back to my house sitting with me. I have been using I have been working on the vest this week, along with, I had a sample that had to be finished this week, so I've been knitting hard on that, but it's like really tiny sock needles, so I'm looking forward to something a bit bigger. So I guess that's all my works in progress. I do have a bit of a dye project that, alongside kind of wanting to knit more of other people's patterns, actually purchased a few patterns yesterday or the day before, just to kind of have as like my little list of patterns that I have, and I can knit them as soon as I'm ready. And I only did it for patterns that I already had the perfect yarn for. And also, like, speaking of stashes and acquisitions and all of that stuff, I've been wanting to kind of set myself the goal of only not buying any more yarn and just using things that I already have. And if I do, like, the only purchases I would make is if I just don't have enough of a particular color for a project, like I'm allowed to buy an extra skein or two to have enough. And I think also partly that comes from like designing and kind of wanting to try a yarn before I commit to it. So I'll like often order like 1 or 2 skeins of something, but then I wind up with not enough to make a big thing. And I don't make many accessories. I'm definitely more of a sweater knitter. So all that to think about. But I decided that I wanted to, I've wanted to knit a cabled sweater for quite some time now. And I decided that what could be more fun than dyeing the yarn for a cabled sweater. So I made this lovely pal this week. It's not, it didn't turn out exactly how I wanted it, and it's a tiny bit variegated actually. You can see like there's darker spots and lighter spots, but maybe that'll be kind of fun, give it a little extra interest. So I dyed 6 skeins of this. It's definitely not as dark as I had intended. I might give it another dye bath actually. So I started with lichen, because I heard that uist can give a nice orange, and it was the most curious thing. So I gathered some from some trees that fell during the last hurricane in my parents' backyard woods. They live on the edge of this kind of woodsy hill that has just some good woods. So when I first put it into the dye pot, it did start to turn orange, and then half an hour later I looked in and it had gone kind of this weird like lime color, but like not the color of the outside of the lime, but the lime juice, like a really weird like cloudy pale color. It was very strange. So I presume I must have overheated it or something. I'm very curious to try it again and see what happens. So then I put my onion skins in, because I've been saving onion skins for quite a while. But I don't eat a ton of onions. I mostly just cook for myself, so like just didn't really have a lot of onions, even though I've been saving for like 6 months. So that gave it a little bit of color. And then I was a little unsatisfied with the amount of color I was getting, so I added like 3 or 4 tea bags. And it's, it started white, so like it is a bit of color. Definitely not the most exciting color I've gotten. I'm not sure if I will use it like this or if I'll over dye some more. This doesn't really feel that thrilling, does it? I was hoping for like, actually that's interesting. So I just noticed you see the string that's kind of holding it all together. that's come exactly the color I was hoping for. Fascinating. So that's kind of like a toffee kind of brown. Not this. That's just the string. That's really lovely. It's very curious though that it would take the dye so differently. I mean, not curious that it would, but like I'm sure all kinds of different fibers take color differently. But makes me a little bit like unimpressed with this yarn in how it takes color, you know? I have been thinking for a while that I want to try a new base for dyeing. I'm not sure what to try because I'd like something a bit more rustic is the thought, and it would have to be super affordable. But this is wool of the Andes from Knitpicks, and I don't know, it's just what I could find at the time. And this is a couple years ago before I really had like figured out my preferences in terms of yarn. But yeah, I would prefer something more rustic. I might try Briggs & Little Sport, even though we've already talked about my distaste for Briggs & Little. I just don't really know what else to try. But the local yarn shop that does have Briggs & Little has a bunch of their undyed in stock. So I was thinking I might pop by later today actually and have a look. Something to try anyway. We'll see. I feel like that might be kind of all I have to show you. I still feel like I'm forgetting something, but I don't know, I guess I haven't been knitting that much, and like this beautiful beast took up so much of my knitting energy and time in the last while, and like, you know, running the test knit and everything. But yeah, so I hope to get this. I just need a little more time. I need a little more time to wear it a bit and decide if it's exactly how I want it to be. And then I will set up a test. And it'll be thrilling. Yeah, I suppose I should probably go back to doing my schoolwork now, but thanks so much for being here and for hanging out with me a little bit this morning. It was really nice to just feel some wool and talk about wool. I really miss it when I'm having like really intense school weeks. Yeah, last week I didn't get to knit all week, and then I sat on like, I think like Saturday morning. I knew I had like a huge work day ahead of me, and I feel like my subconscious made me do it. Like I woke up at like 6 o'clock in the morning and I was like, you know what? I'm up, I'm ready, let's do some knitting. And then I could barely concentrate on anything else all day because I was just thinking about how nice it had been to hold wool. School is boring, it's no fun, and I wish that I was knitting all day long. I hope you're having a really nice day. I hope that you have some lovely wool to keep you company, and I hope you're working on projects that make you feel really nice. And I hope someday you get to make this scarf because it's so cozy. Sorry. Have a nice day. Bye.